Can you guys online still hear us?
Yes.
Yes, only if you have the microphone, though.
Right, okay. Do now. It's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to call the July 16th meeting of the Woodstock Town Board to order. Actually, two quick announcements. One, congratulations to our deputy town clerks for being recertified as registered municipal clerks. They both went through the training and got their certification at the end of June. So congratulations, Michelle and Lynn Severett. The other thing is I want to take a minute to talk about our emergency shelter setup, because there was a lot of misinformation online. So what we've been doing for quite some time now is in an immediate emergency, if somebody is either hot, cold, or somewhere in between and needs a place to rest, we have the town hall. The reason we picked that is it's manned by, or persons by dispatch. So anybody can walk in there immediately and seek relief. Dispatch has the standing orders are that once somebody comes in, because they still have to do dispatch, so it's tough to do both, they contact the supervisor, who then contacts, either I come down in a couple of cases, or I'll call a council person to come down and help out. Should the situation be elevated to a bigger crisis, and that did happen one time in, what was your first year, Bennett, 21?
2022.
2022. So what was that, January, February? We had a big ice storm, we lost power, and we opened up the community center. But to do that takes some time, and we need to call either the Red Cross or the National Guard. And in that instance, it was both groups that came in with supplies and opened up the shelter. That did take about 8 hours to mobilize. In the meantime, we had the town hall as a backup. So that's the policy. I do remind folks whenever we have extreme weather that it is available, and all you need to do is contact dispatch and they'll let you in. With that, do we have? Yes, yes, please. Let me press the button for you, Jackie.
I would just like to announce to everybody the sad passing of the town clerk prior to me. Kathy Anderson passed away last night at home. She was a 24-year employee, town of Woodstock, started in 1980, and the last 10 years of her work with the town was as town clerk. She was a hard act to follow. I give great sympathy to her family and all her friends. And if we could just take one moment of silence in her behalf, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kathy, for your service, and we love you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bill, may I add, Kathy was an icon. Kathy was loved by all, and she was, once she became clerk, she had the position as long as she wanted it. She was wonderful to Woodstock, and Jackie has followed her very well, by the way. But you know, Kathy, when she was in that position, was in fact an icon.
Melanie, is either Town Cloud or Text My Gov available for their? Okay, so I think we have Town Cloud first. So we're going to start with a presentation by Town Cloud regarding our website. Who do we have on from Town Cloud tonight?
Hello, my name is Chris Haywood. I'm with Town Cloud, and Nina Close has joined me as well.
Hello.
So you folks are going to do a presentation. So just for the public, Melanie, my confidential secretary, has been looking over the last couple of months at different companies that do website design. And This company seems to have given a very good presentation, so we want to bring it to the public and bring it to the board and see how we're feeling. So with that, please take over.
Okay, very good. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Sure.
All right, thank you so much. And are you able to see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So yeah, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and consideration this evening. As I mentioned, I'm from TownCloud, and really what we are offering is a simplified approach to managing your website. We work with people all over the country, and including in New York, and we have really focused on providing a solution that is simple, that it's easy to use, that it's very easy for your residents to find information. It's easy for you to manage and keep up to date. It integrates together with other applications very easily. You can be up and running very quickly. We have multiple customers that we've had live in just a day or a week. And so you can really kind of move at your own pace, at your own schedule. We provide assistance in moving all the content over from your existing website to the TownCloud site. Everything is designed so that you put in the content once and it is easily accessible by your residents on any platform. So they can be on a mobile device, on a desktop device, or on a regular, like a tablet, and they can easily access all the information. There's no limited functionality, mobile views. Everything is really designed to provide a great experience for everyone. And at the same time, by making information more readily accessible for your residents, and by providing you with a very intuitive platform that's user-friendly, it also is something that is a huge time saver for your staff, anyone that's involved in keeping things up to date. I think our customers tell us, just how much time they save, both in the initial setup as well as any kind of ongoing maintenance of the site. So that's really the approach and the value that we're trying to offer to the town. I can give you a quick little walkthrough of the sandbox that we put together and also show you one of our other customers from New York. But before I jump into that, does anyone from the board have any questions initially?
This is Laura. I will have a question on migration. Will it be easy to migrate from the current website to yours, or will the things need to be added in fresh?
Oh, that's a great question, Laura. So it's a process that we go through together. I think all of our customers have found it to be extremely easy to migrate the information over. And it's something that we work together with you to accomplish. So to give you a sense, we've had some of our customers that have asked us to just kind of take it over for them and to bring everything over to the new platform. And then we've had others that really wanted to be involved from step one. Most of our customers have found the most successful approach to be one where we will help you build out a number of templates, and then we work together to review your existing content and think about how you might want to transform or streamline or improve it in the new site. The goal being that by the time we're done with the process, that you feel 100% comfortable with how it's built and how to change everything. And so really, we're always kind of looking for that sweet spot in the middle where we make this as easy a process for you as possible with the least amount of work required, but also keeping you very involved so that I would contrast a TownCloud website with any number of custom solutions that are going to look flashy in the beginning, but you'll find it takes a lot of cost and or time to maintain or make changes. So our sites are really focused around that functionality.
Thank you.
I do have several questions.
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit about the technology platform front end and back end? So is there a content management system? What is that? And also the technology for the front end?
Sure. So yeah, to answer your first question on the content management side, we do have a content management solution that's a part of the website package, and it is really designed around ease of use. In fact, I can show you, I'll give you a few examples of how that works, but it's something that we've actually built. So it's not, for instance, like a WordPress site, if that's what you had in mind.
Okay, great. And can you talk a little bit about disability options? So for those, so that we are compliant?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's something that's important for all of our customers. And, we kind of see this really as a partnership because, when we think about, accessibility and making things, easy for those that may have impairments, we're really trying to make sure that the website is accessible by anyone. And so the way that we approach that is that our platform is built to meet the accessibility standards. And as part of the process of building out the content in the site and bringing over, information from the old site, adding in new information, our methodology is going to assist you in building it in a compliant manner. The files that you provide, that you upload to the site, of course, those also need to be, built in a way that's compliant. And so that's kind of where the partnership comes in, right? So we've tried to build a platform that's focused around, meeting those standards very easily right out of the box. We provide it through our implementation methodology in terms of how the content is structured, for instance, so that it's very easily consumed by screen readers. And then, we also have conversations during the implementation around, how you can, maintain that same standard in the files that you upload to the site as well. So it is something of a partnership.
Thank you. Three more questions I do want to get out of the way. One is, you mentioned that this is your own content management system. In the future, if the town wanted to move away from your company, we're looking to move towards you, I guess, today, but would we own the content, or can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Oh, absolutely. It's very simple. So you can think of it a bit like, a lease. The content that you put on the site is your content. The platform is our platform. So, we get paid for the use of our platform, but any content that you add to the site is yours. And, you can take it with you if for whatever reason you decide that, you need to go in another direction in the future. So there's not a lock-in or anything like that. In fact, to the contrary, the way that the information is formatted is standards-based and really portable. So, our philosophy is that we try to earn your business, throughout the entire relationship.
Thanks. I'm actually going to just ask one more question. Can you talk a little bit about once you go live with a client and you provide that training, what ongoing support do you offer?
Sure, happy to answer that. So really there's kind of two things that I would say. So first off, in our experience, the level of support required is quite low. Because we have built something that is intuitive, you're just not going to need as much support as you may be used to with an existing website or any other application for that matter. That really is, a critical, design principle that we've incorporated into all of our applications. But that being said, the support that you need is provided through the subscription. So you don't have extra charges for training and support. It's included. And so that's just something that we've never really, had any issues with. In fact, our customers love our support, and we constantly receive compliments about it.
Thank you.
So that leads me to a question, then you may be getting to this later. There's a subscription price then, so we're paying a monthly price. And do we have any guarantees of how much can it be go up each year?
Sure, happy to answer that question too. So, obviously cost increases are a factor for, everything. Every time I go to the grocery store, I'd love to get a guarantee from them that there's no price increases next week. But in terms of what we do, we have our subscription price that we offer for the website. We provide the ability for you to get that on a multi-year basis. And I think we've already provided that information, to the town. I'm happy to discuss that, individually with anyone if there are questions around the proposal. But essentially, you can sign up for the subscriptions on an annual basis, on a multi-year basis. And what I will share is that, our philosophy is that we always try to ensure that if you're paying us, any additional amount of money, that we're providing value for that money. And so, in the last 6 years, we actually haven't had any price increases for our customers. So the customers that have been with us, we've maintained, price continuity. We work with towns of all sizes, but especially, for our smaller towns, that are very budget sensitive. And so that's something that's important to us. So we work hard to keep our costs low, and that's something that we do provide, for our customers.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bennett or Maria Elena, do you have any questions right now?
Could you explain, is this a system that also integrates with email, or is this just a website?
So what we have included in our proposal is a meeting management solution, as well as a website solution. And so the idea is that it creates, so for instance, a meeting like tonight's meeting, our application would create the agenda for the meeting, as well as the packet, background information, that would be integrated into the website and automatically posted to the main page. And additionally, it's all of the content related to the website itself. We don't currently offer an email solution. And frankly, the reason for that is that, most of our customers have found that the kind of, commercial off-the-shelf systems from companies like Google and Microsoft have been adequate, and it just hasn't been a demand for it. This is really an area where we feel like, we've been able to differentiate because, there wasn't a simple, easy to use solution that was also accessible for the residents. And so we've taken, our expertise and applied it there.
And how does it integrate with social media platforms?
So you can have, I guess I would have a question for you. Which social media platforms do you use today?
I don't use any of them. I want to know which ones it integrates with.
Okay, sure. So, we have a place, on the footer for any of your standard social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and so on, Facebook. So it's very easy. It's really just a matter of, specifying the page, for whatever platform the town happens to be using, and it'll automatically activate, the appropriate link on the site. And so, again, like everything that we have on the site, it's all designed to work right out of the box with minimal effort from you.
Great. And could you speak about other towns or municipalities in New York that you've worked with?
Sure. So we've worked, like I said, we work with people all over the country. We've also worked with folks in New York as well. So I can share with you, one of the towns I had, pulled up, for our demo this evening is the town of Linden, New York. A little ways away from you all, but, great folks over there. And, we've also worked with Camp Bell, and there's a handful others as well that we've worked with. But like I said, we're actually in the majority of states, coast to coast, in the continental U.S. So we have quite a range of experience, with the municipalities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if you want to continue on the walkthrough, I think we're ready for that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, happy to do it. I'm sorry, was there a question? I didn't quite catch that.
We'll go to the public, the audience, after we do the whole walkthrough.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So yeah, I mean, I think just confirming that you all can still see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll just show you a couple of highlights about the site. So the main page is going to include a number of key features.
So Chris,
first,
you're still on the town of Lindsay. Do you want to be on that or Woodstock?
I can show you both. We've
Okay.
configured a bit of content. It's not, we haven't done like a full conversion for your site, but we've put a little bit of content in there that we can start with. And, we can show you, some of their pages as well. So, the idea on the main page is that, we want to present the information that's timely and relevant, right up front, right on the main page. And so we have our latest news. You'll see the 4 most recent articles here. This works like any news feed that you may be used to already. So you can, keep your news in perpetuity. You always have the most recent ones on top. Click into any one of them. This can be a very simple update, just a little bit of text. It can include images and links and documents. And sometimes people have, very extensive news posts with, quite a bit of information. So, your standard formatting, the title, the date, and then any additional content that you'd like to share, it's all right there. You can view all your historical news posts as well, going back, as far as you like. And so, the nice thing is that you have continuity. If people want to go back and look at an announcement that you made previously, it's very easy for them to do. They can just tab through the pages, and they're always going to be, have the most up-to-date news right on the main page. And you can see how, that's going to be appropriate to each agency, right? So your news posts or whatever's relevant for you, and it's very, very easy to put those out there. In fact, I can show you what an example looks like in just a moment. Right below the news, you'll also see the agendas. And this is, it's our meeting management app we call Agenda. It's integrated into the site. You can have, something as simple as your regular town board meeting, or you may have multiple boards or commissions that you have utilized our platform for. It's always going to show you right on the main page, so no one has to hunt around, your 3 most recent meetings. They're grouped by the type of meeting, and they're sorted by the date of the most recent meeting. And so you're able to easily access the information. If I wanted to print out a copy of the agenda, I can simply click on the agenda PDF, and I'm going to have a printable copy of the agenda. If I wanted to view the agenda online, I can simply click View Agenda, and I'll see that information. And the nice thing about this is that it is in a responsive format. And so that means that you are able to view this. For instance, I'll just I'll pull up another site here just to. So here I'm in the desktop mode, but I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so that you can see what it might look like as a tablet or even as a smartphone. And so you can see that with the responsive design, everything's going to adapt to fit to your screen. And we have our mobile menus, so you have access to your top nav. Additionally, any additional pages that you create on the site, those are all accessible. And the goal is to really give you the same experience, whether you're on a handheld device or a full desktop computer. When you're looking at the agendas themselves, again, you have the option of doing the printable agenda. You can also look at the packet. So the packet is going to give you your agenda plus all of your attachments. So if you need to have a paper copy of that for the meeting, or if anyone from the public wants to, you can simply hit the print button, and print as many copies as you need. But again, we offer that online view. And the reason is that as great as PDFs are, they're always limited. When you get to a smaller device, you either have to scroll around or zoom in and out. Whereas, with our view agenda, the online view, this is going to adapt to fit your screen. So all the way down to a smartphone or a tablet. And additionally, you'll see that we have the live links right there in the meeting. And so if you were, going through the topics of the agenda, you wanted to pull up the sample ordinance document, you can simply click on the link. You want to see the meeting minutes, simply click on the link, or your claims report, and it's all accessible to you. And so you can attach any of your standard Office documents, your PDF documents, your Word documents, your Excel documents, PowerPoint, images, and so on, and it's easily accessible in one place. So we're going to give you a both-and solution. You have your printable documents that people are used to seeing. Here's the agenda, here's the packet, here are the minutes, and so on. But you also have the ability to easily view this information, and it's also searchable. And that's something that people like. For instance, even during a meeting, you can search on any of the text of the agendas or minutes, which easily allows you to pull up, maybe you have a ordinance you've been talking about for a number of meetings and you're on your 3rd reading. You can search on that ordinance number or search on someone's name. So all of the information is very, very easily accessible. So that's right there on the main page. When we get into some of the additional information, you'll see that we have our documents. One of the things that we would frequently hear as we worked with customers is that they get complaints about documents being hard to find. And even when they've worked very hard to keep things up to date, Sometimes, you know, the website was built by one person, turned over to someone else, and you may not even realize that you have an old version of a document out there. And so here you can see that you can easily find information. You come up with these categories, upload the files, just like you'd attach an email. You can download the documents, and then you know, and that is just going to follow your browser setting. Additionally, you can have links out to third parties. So some of our customers, you know, they may not have their own building department, so they're going to have a link to the county. But everything in one place, easy to find. We've already talked about our news and agendas. This is just your full list. You can, of course, filter down by meeting type. There's the social link we were talking about down on the bottom of the page there. And, you know, then you get into your custom pages. These are really unique to you. So I have some customers that keep them very simple, kind of just the facts, just the basics. And then I have other customers, you know, like Hull is a good example since we're here, where you can see that they have added a, you know, a hero image up on the top with an aerial shot of the town. They've added profile pictures of office staff, so you can see, you know, who you're going to be calling, who you're going to be speaking with. You can have, you know, responsibilities and so on. One of the nice things about the way that, you know, we build out the sites together with you is, you know, we'll look at some of our existing customers and, you know, best practices, what people have found to be successful, and, you know, just talk through what you like and what we can use as a starting point to really make things simpler and easier for you. So all of the pages that you'll see here, you know, these are all really specific to each organization. There are certainly some commonalities. So, you know, for instance, the About Us page. I think on the sandbox that we created for you, if I bring that back up, you know, we brought some of the content over. Let me go back over to here. You know, we brought some of the content over from your site, so you can see that we have the About Us page, you know, a bit of history. And so you can incorporate the images. They may be smaller ones or full width images. Again, you can have links and so on, you know, throughout the page, but everything is really designed to be easy to read. And additionally, you know, to work, you know, right out of the box with, you know, any of your assistive devices. So again, thinking about those with disabilities and making it easy for them to access this as well. So we can certainly get into, you know, any additional detail, but really at this point, you know, the content that you're going to see in the site is going to be based upon those conversations that we have and how we, you know, choose to incorporate the content from your existing site, what new things you may want to add. You know, maybe there's certain things that you don't want to carry forward. But, you know, again, the idea is that we've wanted to really, you know, simplify this process. And just to illustrate that, I'll show you a couple of things. So if we jump over here to our content manager, this is an example, right? If I wanted to create a new news post, you know, I have my different collections of information. I can simply click on new news. I have a title, the date, the teaser text, and then my content area. You know, I have tools I can use, like I want to make something, you know, bold or italic, adjust the header in certain image. I can, you know, display a real-time preview and then simply click publish. So it's very, very user-friendly. You don't have to be technical. You don't have to have, you know, a formal degree in, you know, web development in order to use these sites. Same things with the documents, right? If you wanted to upload a document or come up with a new category, it's as easy as specifying a new document category and then hitting save. So it's very, very user-friendly and, you know, really designed with you in mind. You know, most of our customers, you know, they have multiple responsibilities, multiple jobs that you know, they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And this is just one of those responsibilities. And so we wanted to make it easy for them to keep the site current and relevant, you know, for your customers, your constituents.
Chris, thank you. Let me go back to the board first. Are there any follow-up questions?
I have two. I don't want to jump ahead of others if
Go
others
ahead,
want.
Laura.
Okay, so the two questions I have is one of the things that I use, and I used it this evening, was on the current town Woodstock, there's the calendar feature. So I can look at the whole month of July at a glance and see all the meetings happening in the month of July. So you showed, if I want to see town board, you showed me, here's all the town board meetings in the, you know, past and current. You didn't show us a calendar per se. And if I want to go to August and see all the meetings going to be held in August, is there a way to see the calendar a month at a glance?
Sure. So there's a number of different ways that, you know, you can think about calendars. I mean, what I've actually shown you is the integration between website and agenda. where we are actually automatically creating and publishing these calendar cards. So when you create a meeting, simply by virtue of creating and publishing that meeting, it automatically creates this calendar card for you. And what we had found in our research was that over 90% of calendar items tend to be based around the meetings, right? Whether it's the town boards or planning board, any of the various, boards and commissions that you manage, they tend to be, based on that. And so we provide a number of different ways to see that information. And the idea was that we didn't want to require our customers to need to go maintain things in two separate places. So you can see the most up-to-date recent information on the main page, and then you can see, a list sorted by date here. You can see, the entire list. It's in a chronological order. Beyond that, we do have customers that have integrated a number of different calendar solutions into the site itself. And, those would be really tend to be for other, additional items like, for instance, you may have, a Lions Club or, other organizations that are not specific to, the town itself. And, just to show you one, quick example kind of off the cuff here, and again, you're not limited, we can incorporate any calendar into the site. But here's an example of a calendar where, we have the events published and, they're easily able to maintain the information. So this can come from, any account that you designate and publish, we can incorporate that into the page. So
Yeah.
we've tried to.
That's what the kind of thing I was looking for, because it has like the planning board meeting and we have all kinds of committees and they have meetings several times a month. So you do have a calendar look.
Yes.
Which is what you're showing us here.
And
Yeah.
did you have a second question, Laura?
Yeah, I have a second question. So my second question is the documents, which is a really great idea to have a documents list, although what people are used to in Woodstock is if I'm looking for a document like the building permit, I'll go look under boards and committees, or I guess it's departments rather. I'll look under departments in that case and look under the building department and find the building permit there. I know I like the fact that you have also, you can find it under a documents list that lists all the documents. Can the same document be accessed from either spot, either your documents list or the board that generated that document? Or can it only be found now under documents?
No, it sure can. You can also link those documents anywhere that you want in the site. The idea was just to have a single place where everyone could always trust that if I go here, I can find the documents.
Okay,
so
perfect.
It's not to the exclusion of other links. I mean, you can incorporate whatever links you want in the site itself. So again, there's not a restriction on that, but it does, provide you with some continuity and a consistent experience for the public.
And it sounds like, as you answer my questions, you're adding things that will be helpful to us without removing anything that we're used to. So that's an excellent plan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else on the board?
Yeah, I do. I have a couple of follow-up questions. One is I just want to confirm the disability aspect. So as you were hovering over the image, I would have expected to see some alt text there that could be read. So you're saying that for Woodstock, we can have that and we will have that so that folks who are utilizing different technology platforms to read the website or to have the website be read to them, that in fact, this website would be compliant. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's actually two separate things when it comes to that. And I'll just illustrate this by going back to the news post that I was showing you. So for instance, if I wanted to insert an image, I can choose an image that I've uploaded here, and we'll just kind of pick this one here. There is a place for you to enter an alt text, but that's actually not what you'll see when you hover over it. That would be the title. So from for the screen readers, they're going to look for the alt text, and we do prompt you to enter that for every image that you insert. You can also enter the title, which is the hover feature that you were describing. So both are available. The one we'd want to focus on is the alt text if we're concerned about the screen readers, but you can do either one.
Okay, thank you. And then just two other questions. One is the design's a nice, clean design. I note that as you were going through the different websites, they're all very similar. So they look like they're utilizing the same template. Is that the idea for Woodstock, that would be utilizing that template and working within those parameters?
Yes. So the idea, again, right, there's thousands of companies out there that will design a custom site for you. And custom sites are always great for a while. But what we have tried to do is really kind of provide the website as a platform so that it is, evergreen, right? That it's always going to work on whatever device people happen to be looking at it on, and it's always going to be really easy for you to maintain the content, even if you don't consider yourself to be particularly skilled in web development. So what we've found is that this platform kind of gives us what I think our customers would say is the right flexibility where they can really personalize the site and, have people experience, a feel of, what the town is and the personality of it, without the complexity that's typically associated with maintaining a website.
Okay, and my final question has to do with forms and online forms. Is that something that we'll be able to create forms if we wanted to put something up where the public could communicate with different departments or something like that? Is that part of your offering?
So right now, we have not incorporated a forms module into the site per se. Our focus, has really been around the simplicity, and forms are going to add a degree of complexity. But that being said, I have a number of customers that have incorporated, just like with the calendar, right? Where, someone can embed, an Outlook calendar, a Google calendar. They've embedded, a variety of forms tools ranging from free to paid. And again, because we support that, you have quite a bit of flexibility around how you support forms in the site. And again, we've already, configured the sandbox. I'd be happy to follow up, after this meeting if there's, a specific form that you'd like to see, and we just want to kind of play around with that, see what that would look like in the site. It's very, very easy to do. So it's certainly something that comes up from time to time. And, we may offer additional functionality around that in the future, but for right now, incorporating, forms into the site has been the approach that our customers have preferred.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bennett or Maria Elena? Bennett?
Yeah, could you tell me a little bit about the company Town Cloud and its business model and how long it has been in existence and what your investors are like? Just give me a brief rundown.
Yeah, so Town Cloud is not I guess I would kind of start by saying what we're not, right? So we're not a giant corporation that's backed by private equity. We're closely held, and our official launch was in 2018. But we have been working with municipalities. Our core team has been working with municipalities for decades, and so our focus and what we really the reason that we created this company was really to try to provide smaller municipalities, those that are not 60,000, 100,000 population or larger, modern software that's easy to use, and typically there's a cost factor that has prevented that accessibility. So we have built a suite of applications that are modern, they're cloud-based, and they're really designed to offer you the best of the state-of-the-art technology with the most user-friendly interface. And this is something that we've found to be really well received. As I mentioned, we work with folks all over the country from coast to coast, so that's really kind of our what we're all about, and that's our mission. We're trying to provide things that are both easy to use for municipalities as well as for your residents.
And could you tell me a little bit about the executive team and who runs Town Cloud?
Sure. Well, I'm one of the founders, so that part of that would be me. We have also my partner Dennis is one of the other founders. So it's we have I would say that we consider ourselves to be a small team of people that are passionate about getting results for customers and using technology in the most efficient way possible.
Could you speak a little bit about the experience that you guys brought before forming this company?
Sure. Well, my partner Dennis, and you can find his information on our website too. He actually founded the first ERP system for local governments in 1981. back when what was in vogue were IBM mainframes. So that's something that was successfully installed at over 1,000 municipalities. So we've, like I said, our experience working with municipalities is quite extensive. And this is our bread and butter. This is what we love to do. So we've done the whole gamut. We've financials, utilities, permits, but we started with some of these applications like, website, like the meeting management, because a lot of the folks that we talked to, while they were very frustrated with existing vendors, oftentimes found that they were preoccupied with a lot of the minutia just in keeping up with the meeting prep and updating information. And so we realized that, providing some efficiencies in some of these other areas really, provided a great value to the towns that we work with.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to go out in a couple of short questions. Chris, you had your hand up first. Just ask me and I'll. Yeah.
So first of all, I applaud the efforts for this website. It certainly looks like it's going to be an improvement over the current one, because I have very difficult to find this. Which leads me to the point. This is a website for you to provide information for us to find. Mm-hmm. So will there be any user testing? Will we get a chance to look at a beta version of this and work through it and provide any suggestions?
Did you hear the question, Chris?
I think I heard most of it. So the question was about user testing and having a chance to see it before it goes live, essentially?
Correct.
Sure. So when we work with you, there's a sandbox that you can see here. And just as you see it now, as the content is built out, it kind of works like an unlisted phone number, but you're certainly welcome to share it with, a core group of folks, that you can get feedback from. The way that we work is we sort of say, okay, you tell us who is going to have ownership of the project to take the site live, right? So on the town side, who's going to be responsible, who's going to make the decisions, that kind of thing. But we also make it very, very easy to see that progress. You can see it in real time as you build it, literally every save. And so periodically, if you want to share that and get feedback and make sure that, it is intuitive, that the way that it's laid out, the naming conventions that we're using, the way that we've structured things is logical. That's very, very easy, for you to do as the town. And so, sometimes people do have a small group that they get feedback from, and that's certainly something that, we welcome. So, I think it's, from our standpoint, we try to make it as easy as possible, but it really is, up to you as a town to decide how you want to manage that process.
Thank you, Chris.
So to follow up quick, sorry. So how do we set up a small group of users to start?
We'll figure that out and get back to you.
Okay.
That's not for them. Urena? No, I'll train.
So my question is for the committees and planning for these different groups, instead of us having to be off and creating our own pages, don't we have our sub-page where it's got information, the leak streets or something, or housing, whatever it is.
Okay. So, Chris, did you hear that question?
I'm sorry, you'll have to repeat it, please.
So if we have other loosely associated groups, say a housing alliance, could we have sub-pages on this web page that they could have access to?
Sure. So it's really up to you. And I've seen it done both ways. So because this is so easy to use, right? It doesn't have the complexity of a traditional website. One option is that they can build their own website that's linked from this, right? I've seen that done. The other way is that you can have a page dedicated to their content. So anything that's built on this site is going to be part of this site's URL. But if you did have a separate site, then it would have its own unique URL. So examples that I could provide to you, one might be, most towns that I work with, they have a town library, right, or a school system. And so they may have their own web page, but they also want to provide some basic information on the actual municipal website itself. And so they do that, and then they also provide the links to their, to their site. Another example, this is a little bit more unique, but I worked with one town where smaller municipality, and they had a local snowmobile club that was very involved in a lot of volunteer work, and so they had a page dedicated just to the snowmobile club. So again, this is a decision that you'll make as a town as far as how you want to structure the content, but the platform is very flexible, so it's really up to you as far as which approach you'd like to take.
Just let me go 2 more questions and then we'll come back to the board. John?
Yeah, thank you. I'll try to speak up. I'm glad Laura brought up a traditional full month calendar view, because that's one of the features. I know it's fundamental, but it's one of the features I use a lot. And what I didn't hear, we saw it on the screen, but what I didn't hear was that that's fully integrated with the meetings, so that when somebody creates a meeting, does it go in there automatically? And then can the public click on that to go to maybe the Zoom link to that meeting, for example, from the month calendar view?
Did you hear that question, Chris?
Yeah, I think I did understand the question. So it was regarding, the calendar view and how it was integrated into the meetings, and then, your Zoom links for the particular meeting. So a couple of things that I would say. So first of all, and I don't remember if Lindley has one for theirs or not. I'll have to check and see if these guys do. Okay, so I don't have any. I'd have to find one of our customers that does, but it's very common. I know. Let's see. I can think of one. It's very common that you would have the details for the virtual meeting right on the agenda itself. So what our customers tend to do is they'll have any of the information. Let me just jump over to another customer site here. So you can see here that this is just a different layout using the same tool, but you can have the links for the Zoom meeting built right in there, and you can incorporate the phone number if you want for dial-in information, or you can just keep it simple and just have the link to join by computer if you want. So typically that's how that's incorporated. With the calendar itself, what we provide on the website directly are the calendar cards that are automatically generated by the agenda application. So it doesn't automatically create the calendar events in the calendar from agenda, but it's very easy to embed the link to the meeting, which includes the Zoom details in those calendar events. So I certainly think that from an end user standpoint, you can achieve the town can achieve the result that you're looking for, which is to start from a month view, open up an event, and then get to the meeting agenda, including the ability to join it virtually.
Thank you, Chris. And Linda, last question.
Safeguards against blocking residents on the website page?
Did you hear the question, Chris?
I didn't get any of that. I'm sorry.
She's concerned and wants to know if you have safeguards to keep the supervisor from blocking people to have access to the webpage.
Yeah, so I guess the way that I would answer that is that this is not really designed that way. I mean, this is a public information app, and so it's accessible. It's not really designed to function, behind a paywall, so to speak, which is one term that people use, where like you'd have to have a login in order to see it. The agendas and the website are public, and so once it's configured and it's public, then everybody can access it. So there's not safeguards necessarily, but there's also not like a way for them to prevent you from seeing the website.
Thank you, Chris. Anula, did you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, just very briefly, I wanted to follow up on Urena's question about the groups and task forces. What we didn't talk about are roles. So is there like a super user role, an admin role, an editor role, so that folks can manage their own sections of the website?
Yeah, I mean, so what we have found at this point in time, with the website that we offer, is that for most of our customers, a flat permission structure, is a good approach. We're very familiar with a granular role-based security. For instance, with our financial system, that's something that's incorporated, and it's very detailed, and it's broken down in a great deal of specificity. But with websites, at the end of the day, when we get down to, who we're working with, for the most part, we find that, providing, admins with, similar access, has been the approach that has been the most successful. That being said, if we identify the need for more granularity in the future, certainly something that we could look at. But given the nature of what we're doing, again, we're trying to kind of find that right balance always between, providing you with the sophistication that you need, but also giving you the easiest possible user experience.
So Chris, if I could paraphrase what you just said, there's really two roles. One is the end user who can see whatever's on there, and the other role is the admin who can make changes. So you're either an admin or you're not. If you're an admin, you can make changes. If you're not an admin, you can view everything, but you can't make changes. Is that what you're saying?
That's the way that we've configured it currently. Yes, Laura.
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions from the board?
I do have one more question, and that is, and this gets back to migration. There's probably not a lot of old stuff we want to keep on the old website, unless I don't know how many months back of calendar we want to keep. So I'm just curious, once we migrate to the new system, are we keeping the old website around for, say, 6 months? What is our plan of keeping the old data before we delete it once we get to the new system?
Is that question to me, Laura?
I think
I don't
that's
know.
more a question for us, and I wouldn't be in any great rush to eliminate it. I don't see why we would right away. I think
Okay.
we would have the new site up and running and then decide whether we needed to move more information over, and then ultimately decide when we pull the plug on that.
Yeah, well, I think it would depend on how much history we thought we needed. I think a lot of pages are going to get totally migrated, and there's probably not that much, but the calendars from past months or years is what might be old data that we may care about, but we may not care about it. We may decide just to move forward. So we just have to figure out what data is not going to get carried over.
I think that's a discussion that we would have.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. With that, Chris, Nina, thank you very much for your presentation. I would ask the board to mull it over, and perhaps next week we can decide how we might possibly want to move forward. So, Chris, thank you.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Meet you guys. Yes.
Same here. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Okay, and Melanie, text my gov. So we have a second presentation. Hello, Jaden. Can you, yep, here we go.
Good evening. How is everyone doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Good. I just want to be courteous of your guys' meeting here. How much time do we have set aside for this demonstration here today?
How much time do you need?
Well, I'd like to take about 5 to 10 minutes just going over some of the basics and then open it up to some questions. And I did create some examples for you guys to try out as well.
Sounds good.
So,
go ahead.
Okay. Awesome. Well, my name is Jaden Eastman. I am one of the account executives over here. I've been here for about 2 years now. The company itself has been around for about 5 years. We now work with just over 700 government agencies nationwide. In New York, I oversee a lot of New York, and we have just over 30 clients in the state of New York currently. So it's been really awesome. We created this tool just to really with a few things in mind, the flow of information for everybody from the residents all the way up to council and staff members at the town, just making sure that information can get out, information can be received. And there's a couple different features that we've done and created to make that easy as possible for everybody. So there's really 3 different parts to TextMyGov. As you would imagine, it's just a texting tool. So you guys are able to actually push out announcements and alerts to the citizens with a simple, we have a back end of the program. It's a web-based program. There's also a more robust emergency portion of the program, which serves a lot more like an Amber Alert per se. It is called IPAWS, IPAWS, and it's one of FEMA's programs. So we're one of the registered vendors. We've created a back-end portion of the program, and it's been really simple and easy to use. But so for the most part, there's general alerts, which is just going to be texting, and then there's the IPAWS alerts, which is for emergencies such as water boil notices, severe weather, that type of stuff. Now, what really sets TextMyGov apart is there's also a more interactive feature, which is pretty unique to our system here. It allows residents to actually text in a question, such as, maybe someone's trying to find out what's on the agenda, or maybe someone's trying to find out how to get an application or a permit of some sort. They can actually text in a few keywords, and the system will respond back with automatically with a pre-made response based off that question, giving them the information they're looking for, allowing residents to get that information efficiently, quickly, and super easily, the convenience of their cell phone that they already have. So to go alongside that, the system also allows residents to report concerns or issues. This can be anything incongruent with the services you guys provide. So maybe there's a dog at large, maybe there's a water leak or a pothole, tree down, code violation, that type of stuff. The system allows residents to text that in. It'll then ask them a flow of questions like, hey, what's the nearest address? Can you please upload a description or an image? And this information goes directly to the staff members or the department that needs to see that information, and then can be taken from there. So that's really the three parts of the system. I'll open up to questions here in a second, but before we jump into that, excuse me, just some of the logistics behind the system itself. We've really emphasized making the system as easy as possible for everybody to use. So for the residents within the town, they don't need to download an app. They don't need to create an account. They would simply text a local phone number to you guys with any questions to find information or to report issues. And then for the staff members, it's a simple web-based program. We would give you your own access on your own login to manage and send out those notifications as needed. So we also provide, a project manager to help set the whole program up for you guys. And then we provide unlimited training support for any staff members that need to use the program. We understand there's turnover. Sometimes there's additional staff members that need to use the program. We also provide marketing materials, so a widget to place on your guys' website. I want to give hats off to TownCloud. They did a great job. We have worked with TownCloud on a couple different occasions, placing a widget on their website to help get that engagement you guys are looking for. And then we also provide different types of flyers to help get that engagement as well. Lastly here, I'd just like to preface that we have really emphasized also securing all the data that is provided and you guys are using here. So all phone numbers, all text messages are secured through Amazon Web Services GovCloud, which is on some occasions even used by the Department of Defense. We're FOIL compliant, and you guys own the data as well. We don't redistribute or sell that data. I've gone over a lot of information there. Are there any questions on the information I've covered up to this point?
So I'll just start off with a question. So would we create different databases of phone numbers? For instance, say we wanted to put something out for the water or sewer department and the folks in those districts. Would that be a separate base that we could click onto? And then if it was a general town-wide issue, we would have a bigger database of numbers? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Was that Bill that asked that?
Yes.
Yeah, Bill. So what we can do is we can create different groups. And the way I've seen this done with other municipalities is that typically we like to have one large group for the entire town, kind of encompassing everything, right? That's just in case there's a little more urgent of a notification. But then from there, we can create different groups based on the notification purposes or departments. and residents can have the freedom to subscribe to whatever types of notifications they want. Yeah.
So the resident would have to apply for whatever groups we set up. We wouldn't set that up. They would contact us and say, want to be in the water and the sewer district and the general district.
Yeah, exactly. So during the subscription process, they can, so say we have a group for townwide, and then we have one for water notifications and one for events, right? They would just text in the specific key, like we call them keywords, to a 5-digit short code number, and they would be subscribed to each group that they want to get notified about.
Anyone else on the board?
I have some questions.
Oh, go
I
ahead
have
and
some questions. So I know you mentioned Amazon Cloud. Thank you. Would our data be hosted together with other clients' data, or would Woodstock have its own space in the cloud, right? So sometimes it's all jumbled up together. Sometimes it is set up separately. Can you please talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that is a great question. And to be honest with you, my understanding is that each municipality has their own dashboard and backend, and they're all secured individually. But I would like to, I can get back with you guys on that for sure, and let you know what that structure looks like if you.
Okay, thank you. And then regarding cost, a couple of questions. You mentioned you said 3 parts, but I got 4, and I might have split one of the 3 up. So one is the town can push out the announcements, and we can do that with general announcements and or emergency announcements like a flood or something like that. There's also an interactive text feature. Are these different modules that we would pay for? And can you talk a little bit about is there like a set number of texts in and out? Is there a half a penny charge for each? Talk a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, you bet. Let me, can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Just as an overview, so if someone wants to read through this as I'm discussing here. Yeah, so the system itself, I mentioned four features. So yeah, so we have the notifications portion, which is just outbound notifications to your citizens, right? We also have as part of that, the iPause emergency notifications, which serves as the Amber Alert. So that's going to be all outbound, right? And then from the other perspective, the two-way interactive side, there's the reporting functionality, and then there's also the finding information functionality. So everything is included under the pricing that I have provided you guys for this meeting. I believe you guys have that. And you can start with one and advance into other parts as you would like. The setup process is really pretty simple. It takes about 4 to 6 weeks really is what it looks like, but we can go at your guys' pace. Now, what we've done is we also provide you guys a bulk allotment of text messages. So, for example, I think looks like we provided you guys with 75,000 text messages per year. And the way that looks is if you guys have 4,000 subscribers or 2,000 subscribers, and you send out one text to that group with 2,000 subscribers, for example, that is 2,000 texts. And then for the interactive side, if someone texts in, how do I get a building application? That would be one text. And then the automatic response back would be one text. So 75,000 may sound like a lot, but we're just trying to provide you guys enough that you're not going to go over that. And then any other text that you don't use rolls over to the next year for y'all.
Okay, so it's basically on a yearly basis. And if we go over, there would be additional charges, or would the system just shut down?
No, the system will never shut down. And your project manager, someone that would be overseeing your account throughout your time with us would reach out to you guys and just say, hey, we're getting close to this number. Do we want to look at increasing that? Right. And to give you an idea, the texts, they cost us, right? So it's about, to give you an idea, like another 50,000 text messages is about $550 for us. So we don't upcharge you guys on those by any means. We just give them to you guys at cost. So if you guys needed another 50,000 or 25,000, it's between $300 and $550. And that is in the breakdown of additional services on page 4 of that proposal. So,
Okay. And then just, you don't have to answer this now, but I would want to understand if the data is encrypted. So again, going back to the data and the security, and also, are you guys using our data in any way, shape, or form for any other type of analytics? And the length of the backup. So for FOIL requests, I note that that's there. Do you store this for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years? That would help me down the road. Again, you don't have to answer that now, but I would like to know that.
yeah, absolutely. As far as the encryption, let me get back to you on that. I don't know all the security stuff there, but I can definitely talk to my executives about that. But as far as the data storage goes, the text messages themselves are unlimited as long as you're with us. And then if we were to ever part ways, we do require like a 60-day written notice, so we can collect that for you and then give you all that data so you guys have that on hand. Does that answer your question there?
It does. Thank you.
You bet.
Laura, did you have a question?
Yeah, I kind of have two questions. I guess I had one, but now I have a second one. It's an interesting question about encryption, but since everything that would come through these texts, I believe, would be foilable, do we need them encrypted? Because encrypted is so that nobody sees your stuff, but anything that comes to the government, I think, there's some exceptions, but for the most part, like, I don't think any of these things that people would be texting back and forth would fall in the category of exceptions to being foilable. So I guess I'm curious how important encryption is for this type of information.
Yeah, and Laura, I want to jump in. If a resident texts in, hey, my mom's Apple Watch went off, she had a stroke last week, that would fall under HIPAA and would need to be encrypted, in my opinion. So that's why I had asked that question.
I think it was an excellent question. I guess I wonder whether, I guess depending on the answer of encryption.
Laura, I can take a look. We can talk about that and review that.
Okay, so then my other question was about pricing. I guess it's going to be a monthly cost. I didn't see the page on pricing. I think others may have, but I did not see that yet. So it's a monthly cost. And I think what I heard you say is if there's an agreement of what we want us, how many text messages we want to have, if we go over that, I think what I heard you say is you'll just bill us to actual of what we went over. I think that's what I heard you say.
Right. If you guys come close to that, like we aren't going to shut the program off for you guys, but we're going to notify you well in advance, just making sure that we're on the same page before it gets to that point.
I see. So you will want us to say, we want to go over this month. You don't want to just give us a surprise bill. There'll be a communication before, as you see us going over, you'll let us know so that we can confirm we want to pay extra that month.
Absolutely. And it's on an annual basis as well. So, I mean, if you guys want to break it down monthly, we can discuss that. But yeah, what we would do is it would just be an invoice and we'd provide those texts for you guys. So, yeah, if it ever gets to that point, like I said, we have a project manager for you guys on our end, and they're actually, their goal is to meet with you guys quarterly and just say, hey, okay, this is what the analytics are looking like. They're always looking to help improve your guys's performance there and get the engagement you guys are looking for. And then, any way they can help, that they're there for you guys. But yeah, they're making sure that none of our clients are going over and just discussing that with you guys openly. So we've got a lot of transparency there. Yep.
Okay. So, but it's an annual plan then. So
It's
are
an
you
annual
billing
fee.
it's an annual fee. So are we paying it once a year? Are we paying it monthly or quarterly, or are we paying it?
Once a year.
Okay, so we pay it once a year and we have the number of text messages per year. And as the year progresses, if we go over, we communicate what we need. So, okay, thanks.
Correct.
Yep, thank you.
Bennett or Maria Elena, do you have any questions?
Thank you very much, Jaden. I appreciate the presentation. My questions are about the integration with the other emergency alert systems. Is there an integration with like the National Weather Service that when it does an alert like that, or what are the other alert systems that integrate with this?
Yeah, I am actually glad you brought that up. That is something that we are currently working on. That's the top of our list for enhancements for the product. I do not know the exact timeline that the weather national weather alerts are going to be released. But I know it's been on the top of our list for just a little while now. So we're constantly updating and, creating new value with the product itself. Um, I just would hesitate to give a timeline on when that is going to happen. So currently our system is open API. So if you guys wanted to do development like that, you guys certainly can. But as of right now, we just have our standard texting system and then iPause as a complete vendor. And then looking to eventually add on stuff like the National Weather Service and such.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take a couple of questions from the public.
Andy, I have a question about third-party notification during emergency situation. Does this system have the ability to contact a third party, say like grandma or granddad has a problem and it's weather coming in, they can contact their son or daughter so they can evacuate for them?
So Jaden, I don't know if you heard the question, but is it possible for this system to contact a third party?
Give me an example. I'm sorry. Like,
Grandmas, they're worried about grandma and they want you to contact their granddaughter in Iowa.
So as far as like receiving notifications or like, so are we saying like getting someone subscribed outside of?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Sir, what I mean is that if you're in a situation, an emergency situation, and you have an elderly loved one someplace and they will need help for being evacuated. Therefore, we have this emergency situation. Can it be a third-party notification occur to somebody who lives in another town or out of state so then they can evacuate that person or make plans for that elderly person?
Oh yes, absolutely. So if say like for example, my grandfather lives in a state, or a city like 4 hours from here, but they do have TextMyGov, right? I actually subscribe to their city's notifications. So when something does come up, I'm aware of that, even though I'm 4 hours away. So if someone else wanted to subscribe to the notifications outside of the town jurisdiction, right, they still could if they wanted. Yeah.
Thank you. Another question? Chris?
Yeah, I'm just curious. First of all, the system sounds great, but I'm wondering about how you get started with it. For instance, you have to sign up for alerts at some point, and will that be on the Town of Woodstock webpage? How to sign up?
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
And Facebook.
And if I want to send in a text, then I've got the choice of either a general number or there will be departmental numbers. Like, for instance, potholes. If there's a pothole in my road, I would text it to the highway department number.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I wanted to bring up these flyers here. So we currently work with the town of Esopus. We also work with the town of Kingston, town of Amsterdam, just to name a few near you guys. So for example, the residents of the town of Esopus just text in Esopus to this 5-digit number here on the screen on the left, and then they're automatically subscribed. So the way that would work for different groups is there would be a different keyword, but the same phone number, and you just text in the keywords you want to receive subscriptions to those type of notifications.
Thank you. One last question from the public. Going once, going twice. Okay, Jaden, thank you very much for your presentation. I would again ask the board to mull this over and get back to me with your thoughts, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your guys' time. Thank you so much.
Have a good evening. Okay, folks, I'm going to go to a few resolutions. Be it resolved to hire the 2024 summer recreation personnel at salaries provided on the attached sheet. All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the Woodstock Resolution 89-2024 authorize the transfer from the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve type fund pursuant to permissive referendum. And whereas the time to file and execute such permissive referendum has expired, now therefore be it resolved to transfer to from the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve Fund not to exceed $125,000 for the following: new box for truck number 8, $15,000. Asphalt hot box reclaimers, $25,700. New box for truck number 12, $2,500. Helix wrist a twist for R55 excavator, $7,800. 1-ton pickup with sander and plow, $74,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss.
So I noticed that it said that this was by permissive referendum. And-
Subject to permissive
Yeah,
referendum.
and now that there was an expiration of the time for that, when was that expiration?
It wasn't our last meeting, it was 2 meetings ago. We did a resolution which advertised this. If you go back and check the minutes, you'll see it. And it gives the public 30 days to submit a referendum, to request permit a petition to ask for a referendum. The 30 days have expired. That has not happened. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved to accept the resignation of Kristen Christopher as clerk effective July 19th, 2024, and be it further resolved to thank Kristen Christopher for her contributions to the building department. All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved to hire Therese Schultes Fernandez as full-time temporary clerk for the building department at $24.93 per hour effective July 17th, 2024. All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved to hire Daniel Melinsky. Thank you, Jackie. As part-time dispatcher at a rate of $24.93 per hour effective July 17th, 2024. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Whereas Allison's Restaurant, Inc., 51 Tinker Street, Woodstock, New York, 12498 is in compliance with the Alcohol Beverage Control Law, Section 64, Subdivision 2A, has notified this municipality of their intent to file applications for a liquor license with the New York State Liquor Authority. And whereas this property is currently in compliance with all local laws, does not have any violations at this time, and therefore be it resolved, the town of Woodstock waives its right to a 30-day hold and consents to processing and issuance of aforesaid license. All in favor?
Aye.
So Ken, I'm glad you're here. If we have any questions on these next 3 resolutions, whereas Woodstock achieved Climate Smart Bronze certification September 25th, 2021, and whereas Climate Smart requires Woodstock governmental greenhouse emissions to be updated every 5 years, and whereas Woodstock's current estimate of global greenhouse emissions will expire on September 30th, 2024, and whereas the Climate Smart program requires evidence that the greenhouse gas emissions report is available to the public, now therefore be it resolved that the Woodstock Town Board hereby accepts the estimates Woodstock's 2023 governmental greenhouse gas emissions and directs the report to be posted on the town website under the title Woodstock Governmental GHG Emissions for 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the Woodstock Town Board Resolution 91-2024 directed Woodstock Climate Smart Committee to prepare and propose a community climate action plan for the town board's consideration. Whereas with guidance from the Hudson Valley Regional Council, an initial community action plan has been completed, submitted to the town board, and whereas the DC Climate Smart program requires the action. Is this your resolution, Ken? This one isn't yours, right? No, this one's yours as well. Okay. I got caught up here. There's a couple more. The DEC Climate Smart program requires evidence that the climate action plan was released to the public. Now Therefore, be it resolved that the Woodstock Town Board hereby yes, that's what accepts the initial climate action plan as appropriate for reducing Woodstock's greenhouse gas emissions and directs that the report be posted on the town website under the title Woodstock Community Climate Action Plan, and directs the Woodstock Climate Smart Committee to incorporate the concerns and recommendations of the Woodstock Housing Committee and other agencies addressing Ulster County's housing crisis into the climate action plan, and that these actions complete the requirement of the cohort and fulfill the commitments made by Woodstock in the letter dated January 2nd, 2024, from the supervisor to Carla Castillo, Executive Director of Hudson Valley Regional Council. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And this one's yours too, right, Ken? Whereas on October 15th, 2019, Woodstock Supervisor McKenna established the Woodstock Climate Smart Community Task Force, appointed the Environmental Commission as members, and charged the task force to develop a comprehensive approach to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and increase energy efficiencies, as well as related topics. And whereas New York State Climate Smart Community Pledge requires the adoption of authorizing resolutions establishing climate smart communities task force described in the task force mission and defines the duties of the task force coordinator. And whereas in February 11th, 2020, the Woodstock Town Board by resolution 71-2020 adopted the required authorizing resolution establishing a climate smart task force. And whereas on September 25th, 2021, Woodstock was certified bronze with 220 points earned from 21 completed actions. And whereas bronze level certification is valid for 5 years and will expire on September 30th, 2026. And whereas the Woodstock Town Board wishes to remain climate smart certified community, therefore be it resolved, the Woodstock Town Board reauthorizes the Woodstock Climate Smart Task Force, and the mission of the task force shall be: 1, rectify the town of Woodstock as a bronze level climate smart community before the September 30, 2026 expiration date. And 2, work with the Woodstock Highway Department and the Woodstock Building Department to define the hazard mitigation plan that will prepare Woodstock for an environment with increasingly heavy rainfall and flooding. And furthermore, be it resolved, the responsibilities of the task force coordinator shall include schedule and chair meetings of the task force, nominate task force secretary, and as needed, other task force members to the task force to approve, recommend additional task force members for the town board to approve. Organize and coordinate the efforts of the task force members, represent the Woodstock Climate Smart Task Force at meetings and forums. And be it further, let me get this all in one. And be it further resolved, the Woodstock Climate Smart Task Force will consist of 7 members and may consist of members of the Environmental Commission, town employees, and Woodstock residents with an interest in addressing climate change. And furthermore, be it resolved, upon the recommendation of the task force, additional members may be appointed by the town board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ken, for taking care of all this. I'm missing a page here about the hires. Do you have that?
No, we did. Wait, one more.
Did we did all the hires? All of them, 1, 2. I guess it was just 2. I thought there was another one. And this one I'm going to hold off on. Yeah, okay. I thought there was a third hire, but I'm not, it isn't. Okay, so we're good.
So
Jackie?
you're holding off on the pledge? Because there was something about a pledge on the website, but you're holding off on that?
Yes, that one we're holding off on.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, and so public be heard, Jackie?
Before we do public be heard, can I just make a quick mention here?
Sure.
So Home Share Woodstock, to date has been our first response to the affordable housing crisis here in Woodstock. Now Home Share is asking for additional funding. This is a program that I identified as deputy supervisor that I brought forward to the town and was able to secure funding from the State Office for the Aging. And then we were able to also receive some, I advocated for ARP funding from the town, from the federal government. I'd like to see the town of Woodstock continue to support this program. HomeShare is currently creating housing. We're about to make our 9th match. 5 of those matches are in Woodstock. Some matches are benefiting seniors as well as, keeping them in their homes and have extra income and extra help. Some of the seekers, otherwise known as renters, in those matches are younger people who work locally. We have 2 graduate students in matches, and we're actively seeking more foundation support. Would really help to have financial support from Woodstock for this year. Janice Lamata, our program director, contacted the supervisor last week about giving HomeShare another year of support with the remaining ARP funding that has not yet been allocated as of yet. So I know that they have to be dispersed by the end of this year and be spent by the end of 2026. So I just wanted to make sure that the town board is aware of this.
Actually, so what I was going to bring up, it wasn't Janice that got a hold of me, but Susan Goldman had reached out to me. We did allocate all the funding, but the Woodstock Housing Alliance, if you recall, we had the loan program, which they got it off the grounds, but there wasn't great interest because another group at some point came in and offered no interest grants as opposed to loans. So the need is not there. So I was going to recommend, I'll put a resolution on for next week to allocate another $35,000 for this year to them. Yep. Any issues? Anyone against?
I recall that we had talked about $50,000.
No, it was 35 is what we gave last year.
Yeah, that's what we gave, but we talked about 50. So I would ask you consider going to 50.
Okay. Okay. Let me.
Well, they had asked last year. My recollection is they had asked for 35 and we gave them what they asked for. So that's my recollection of how we hit the 35. That's what they had asked for.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up because I had it in my topics and slipped my mind. Jackie, public be heard.
I have 4. Stephanie Catlin.
Stephanie, come on up. Jackie, could you?
And just so that everybody knows. Where you want to speak also? Okay, so the sign-up's at the beginning, but let me just let everybody know Stephanie contacted.
Needs a mic. Can we have a mic, please?
Sorry about
She's
that.
not-
Can you hear me now?
The
Laura?
speaker. I couldn't hear the speaker.
She's not talking yet, Laura.
Nobody's talking yet.
Thank
Just so
you.
that everybody knows that the policy is not to contact me to sign up. I did do Stephanie tonight, but the policy is you come in and you sign up for yourself. And then it's at the beginning of the meeting. So, but I'll put you on. Okay, thank you. Well, do you need to be here at the beginning of the meeting? That's the process. Okay, so you want to get on too? Okay.
Okay, Stephanie, go.
Okay, I'm going to talk ridiculously fast because I'm trying to keep it into 3 minutes, but I'd like to talk about our water. As a resident, I want our water to be safe for me, safe for my friends, my family, safe for you, safe for those who live in my community. But our water has been compromised, and those who are charged with the protection of our health and our environment have let us down. And if it's not clear, I mean you folks. So let's start with the PFOs in the town water. Toxic forever chemicals, unseen here before 2021. Between 2022 and the end of 2023, the amount of PFOs quadrupled, a disturbing trend. Yet you on the town board remained silent. For 6 months, you told us nothing. Until others in our community found out about the problem, they brought it to our attention and you could no longer ignore it. Now, you may say we're not legally required to act at these levels, and it's true. New York State allows shocking amounts of toxic pollution before action is required. That's your excuse for inaction in Shady, and maybe your excuse for inaction here. But we as residents do not want to wait until action is legally required. We demand action long before. The EPA tells us that there are no safe levels of PFOs. But for us, it's not okay to even have smallish amounts of cancer-causing poison in our water. We demand action now. To start with, we demand communication that is timely and complete so we can make informed decisions. And you know how to get the word out when you want to. As to the most recent test, you seem to revel in an inexplicable reduction in PFOs. You virtually bragged about it on the town website and social media. The quadruple jump apparently erased. When the result is favorable, you clearly know how to communicate. So please do that with everything. Now, your job is also about protection. And as to those apparently favorable results, not one of you in charge asked yourselves, does this make sense? Not one of you asked yourselves, where did the forever chemicals go? You simply breathed a sigh of relief because you would not be forced to do anything. To that end, I want to acknowledge that we all owe a great debt of gratitude to citizens and our neighbors, individuals who asked themselves the questions you didn't bother to, and they realized and confirmed that the recent report was wrong, that we still have PFOs. And they got the report changed to reflect the true figures. When our neighbors came to our rescue once again, what did you do? You posted the corrected report, but you remained silent about why there was a new report. You said nothing about what the corrected results meant. The silence must stop. You must tell us what is going on as you learn it. You work for us. Now, I'm not just here to complain. I'm here to ask you to commit to communication as soon as you know something, and everything you know as you know it. I ask you to commit to source tests now. We need to know where this is coming from. And once that is done, you must approve and install filters at the proper place that will address PFOs in the water. I know it will cost money, but you have the money and there is no price to be put on our health. And by the way, if each town resident on town water took the least adequate action to put a single filtered water pitcher in each home, merely protecting drinking water from a single tap, rather than all the water for all of our uses, that would cost us about $88,000.
Thank
Can
you,
I have 30
Stephanie.
seconds more?
No.
30 seconds.
No, thank you.
You fought to be in your positions. Now it's time to step up to your responsibility.
Who's next? Vincent?
Thanks. Vince Mel, speaking for Woodstockers United for Change. You, the town board and town supervisor, took an oath of office to uphold the New York State Constitution. New York State Constitution Bill of Rights, Article 1, Section 19, the environmental right, states that each person shall have a right to clean air and water and a healthful environment. From the Earth Justice website, one of the primary motivations behind creating the environmental right was the issue of contaminants such as PFAS that are not yet comprehensively regulated in New York State, often referred to as emerging contaminants. Several years ago, the Saugerties Corolla dump site was so full of illegal toxic waste containing an abundance of PFAS compounds that DEC shut them down. And thousands of tons had to be removed, according to them, to a final disposal place that was safe. As we know, it ended up in a lot of places that weren't safe, including Shady. You know, our Shady dump is oddly excluded from the settlement that Corollas got hit with for $8 million. But the source of the waste was identified in Shandaken Court, testimony of Conigliaro, that it all came from Saugerties, from the same pile. There's no doubt what it is or where it came from. And you, Supervisor McKenna, issued the phony permit later invalidated in court, which allowed as much as 3,000 tons of the hazardous material to be deposited directly above the town aquifer in Shady. Still, you know, leaching contaminants into our groundwater as you failed to serve the Conigliaros with their obvious violation of Chapter 192, 4 and 5 of town law, which requires the homeowners to remove the illegal waste at their own expense. Now, our town aquifer has for the past 3 years tested positive for PFAS, one of the nastiest of all the PFAS compounds. But instead of looking for the inevitable source of the contamination, we hear things from you like probably just something disturbed when the new well went in. Seriously? Or that it can't possibly be coming from Shady, like you said during the interview. I do hope you realize that Shady and the town well field are connected by an aquifer, Bill. The original 2022 reading of 0.86 parts per trillion PFAS was basically ignored, referred to as non-detectable. 2023 multiplied by 4 to 3.48. Didn't even make mention in the report until we talked to Larry and said, hey, Larry, what about this 3.48 PFAS? And he took the report back and amended it. And that, of course, this year, while you're trying to convince us that the erroneously reported 2024 level of less than 1.86 was non-detectable at the WEC meeting, we attended together. We were soon to discover that the error was much greater. By reviewing the backup data with the town's consulting lab was supposed to transfer to the town's water report,
Thank you, Vince.
we found that it was 2.39. I just had 2 questions to finish.
No questions. We can talk about questions later. Okay. That's Chris.
Okay, I also represent Woodstockers United for Change. And I would just like to say that I am offended that our tax dollars are being spent on fighting the poor Amy's lawsuit. The Amy's live next door to the 10 Church Street dump. And their water is poisoned. They can't use it anymore. They're having to buy water. They're having to pay for legal fees. And instead of us saying, okay, we're going to fix it like we should have done in the first place, no, we're hiring lawyers to fight them. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I think it's reprehensible.
Thank you, Chris. Next, Jackie.
Despite the T-shirt, I'm speaking just as a resident of Woodstock and also as a member of the drum circle for a number of years on the Village Green. And it's come to my attention after the fact that some musicians submitted a proposed sound ordinance, and it's probably pretty good, but I just want to reiterate that I think the agreement between the town and its various officers and officials and the drum circle and the Reformed Church in the Village Green should be not simply mentioned, but incorporated into any sound law concerning the whole thing with the sound on the street and the musicians and the venues, et cetera. And, you know, that it become part of that law and also an exhibit as well and it's also on file with the town clerk's office. I want to thank the town clerk for providing me a copy of the original agreement from practically 24 years ago on the Village Green drumming. And now the second thing is, from what I understand, some people don't want the police to be the primary responders to noise complaints. And I suggest that if you're going to have somebody else, like some sort of code enforcement officer or something, that I don't know if you can do this if they're not an employee or if they're volunteers, some suggested. You might be able to do it as an employee, but whatever, I suggest that such a person be come under the ethics law. So this way, if they have an interest or an association with either the complainer or the venue or people being complained about, that has to be fully disclosed at the very least. And the other thing is, I understand this meeting is postponed because some board members, and I believe Supervisor McKenna, you went to the Town of Ulster Planning Board meeting concerning the proposals by Xena Development LLC. And sometime, hopefully tonight, maybe if you could talk about what was found out there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Laura Feldman.
First of all, I want to say thank you for looking into text.my.gov. I'm sure the population of Woodstock are very appreciative of having that going on. Second, I would like to thank Ken Panza for his work on he's not here, for the different proposals for the climate. And this is my first time reading it, and I'm not sure if this is the proper place to do it, but I do have questions, and I know it can't be changed because you voted on it. So can I still make comments on the pledges that were just passed?
You can make comments, yep.
Okay. First of all, does this mean the change of the Woodstock housing plans to connect to infill development rather than sprawl? Because we're trying to stay committed to reducing greenhouse gas in the thing, and our housing pledge that you passed a couple of weeks ago never mentioned about infill and making sure we reduce our gas emission standards by making sure housing stays within this town community and working on transit. Second, I have a question about the certification of different levels. You know, you talk about bronze levels and things. Is that an award system, and who is it funded by?
You know, if you send me these questions, I can respond back
Okay.
and then you can make
Yeah,
them
because I
public.
have all
or-
these questions, and I was just really concerned about that because,
Why don't you send them to me and, thank you.
Hi. So I'm here because we're midway through 2024. And a lot of the work that I and a team worth of people did for 5 years on housing and affordability. And we had multiple initiatives that came out, pretty much like 5. And we did a ton of work at a lot of sacrifice. It's mid-July. I just found out that Granicus is not active, so there's no enforcement
That's on their end.
on the short-term rental. Sorry. Stop. Sorry, what would you say?
That's on their end, not ours. And with the county.
Okay.
We're working on it. They're working on it.
Okay, and then I would like to offer, if I can, to help make that move along. Anyway, the other thing is with the zoning, I'm glad that home share's doing great. Maybe giving some funding and money towards the housing committee to help with outreach, to communicate with everybody in the community on factual information. But I'm just concerned that there's not a lot happening. I know that there's a lot of dysfunction and division on the table. And all I would ask is that Maria Elena and Bennett, that if you guys would really make an effort to try to find solutions and work with the rest of the team, so the rest of the people in the community don't have to suffer, that would be great.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll call for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Alicia, I will.